Hello everybody. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but I've had a lot of people pester me about making another video because they want to hear my thoughts on things, so here we go. By the way, I'm in my car waiting for jiu-jitsu class to start. Just got off work, and I probably won't have time to do this outside of now, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock it out. Anyways, so I want to address the problem that we have right now as a society that is completely demoralized. Now, you may have heard the term demoralization before. There was a famous ex-KGB agent back in the 80s that kind of laid out the process of demoralizing a society. Yuri Rezanov, I forget his last name or how to say his last name. But anyways, it's a very, very famous interviews that he's done. And I won't say specifically, I'm not going to comment one way or the other on how it happened. What I'm going to comment is we are in it now. And these are the consequences. I'm gonna elaborate on the existential threats that we have facing us that are not even within our own country. Right now, the way I see our country is we are on a ship in the middle of the ocean and we're sinking. And instead of the crew fixing the ship and doing the things necessary to keep it afloat so that they can get to a port and get it fixed and get it seaworthy again, instead they're fighting one another as it sinks. And as it sinks, there's sharks in the water awaiting anybody that survives the shipwreck to feast on whatever's left over. That's where we're at right now. We are a country divided. We are a country where a significant portion of the population believes that the country needs to be basically ground down to a pulp and completely restructured from the ground up because there is absolutely zero redeeming qualities about this country whatsoever. And then there's other factions within our country that believe that we need to have some type of separatist movement where we begin anew, and try it over again. Now, I'm not going to comment one way or the other about the validity of either one of those arguments. It's not the point. The point is that both of these thought processes are gaining momentum. We're seeing it in our dialectic as a national conversation with one another. We're seeing the complete and utter breakdown of the social contract. We're seeing the complete and utter breakdown in faith within our institutions. We're seeing a complete and utter breakdown in our social trust. We're seeing a complete and utter breakdown in our ability to even believe or to agree on what is truth. Now, we've certainly been helped along in this process over the last 60 years, 70 years, since World War II. We have consistently been lied to as a people by those in power in order for them to justify taking actions in areas of the world that we have interest in. We were lied to directly about the reasons for going into Vietnam. We lied directly about the extent of our involvement in Iran. We lied directly about our involvement in propping up Saddam Hussein as he came to power in his fight against Iran. We were lied to directly about weapons of mass destruction from Iraq. I mean, consistently over and over and over and over and over again. I don't believe most of what's being told to me by those in power. And what do we see here? We have a pandemic, right? Now we can't even agree to let the evidence come out on how to deal with this thing, where the origins are, any of it. It's just immediately you are completely not allowed to say any other narrative than the accepted narrative. And now it's coming out that basically, let's do a thought experiment. Let's think about this for a second. I'm not going to get into conspiratorial ideas about the origins of COVID. All right, let's just do a thought experiment. All right, let's pretend that it was in fact made in a lab, which it probably was. Let's be honest. The evidence is coming out. It's becoming very clear. There was a lot of genetic manipulation with this virus that it's looking more and more like could have only happened if it was genetically engineered. Okay, don't take my word for it. Just I read the reports too. But let's pretend we don't know if it was intentional or not. Well, let's pretend that it was. What if it was an intentional leaking by China? What if China intentionally released the COVID virus with the intent of crippling the world economy, so that they could essentially catch up while we stalled? They're moving faster because they are a totalitarian country. They can take whatever measures that they need to gain control of that virus, and there is absolutely zero political recourse for them in their own country to do so. Not to mention, they essentially are the manufacturing hub of the world right now. And they've been open since basically 2 months after the virus became well known. And we're still dragging along in the West. Our economy is just barely making it. Our supply chains are crushed right now. We're running out of things. Inflation is hitting. Now, let's pretend if they did that intentionally, what could we do about it? Do we have do the powers that be have the political will of the people to be able to take any action against China politically or diplomatically? Let alone, we're not in a position to do anything with them because we are not self-sufficient. We've been sold out for the last 30, 40, 50 years, where almost all of our manufacturing for critical infrastructure type things has completely been sold and sent overseas. What do we do about it? And even if we could do something about it, how many people you think would be willing to take up that fight here? You think Americans right now, as it stands, because a war, we're talking about war here. War with China is a global war on the scale of World War II. You think there's any demographic inside of our country right now that is equipped to deal with those consequences, even if we were in an existential threat, even if it was true, or let's make it really easy. Let's say China does like a Pearl Harbor type attack, right? And instead of hitting Pearl Harbor, let's say they hit our fleet in Okinawa in Japan, and they take out half the fleet over there, knock out a bunch of our aircraft. What could we do? What could we possibly do? We can't mobilize for war in time. We can't hold them up. Basically, what we have on hand now is the highest tech stuff that we have available. It's super expensive and highly technical. And China has played the poor man strategy. So if we want to be able to prosecute targets in China, that means we got to approach China. And China has dedicated themselves to area denial weapons around their coasts. So they don't even have to hit us that hard. They can take out a couple of fleets and we're crippled because we have a worldwide presence. Yeah, they would be hurt too. Yeah, economically they'd be crushed, but only about a third to a fourth of their country is living in anything resembling even second world conditions. So again, they're a population that is robust and capable of enduring. They've literally endured for the last 70, 80 years. What's a war with us? Whereas we don't know how to go without for even a day. We got people who literally cannot put their phone down for more than 5 minutes without losing their minds. You think they can go without food or water or power? What could we do? Furthermore, are you willing to send your children to go fight and die in a war when you don't even know if they're telling the truth about it? And even if they were, there's no way for us to believe them because we've been lied to so much. That's what demoralization looks like. We are not in a position to even defend ourselves. We're on witch hunts right now, trying to find opponents or extremists within the ranks as opposed to focusing on warfighting. We got people here chomping at the bit to kill one another. Fellow citizens. We have people openly admitting that they fantasize about killing other Americans who think differently than they do. Again, I'm not going to comment on who's doing it. It's happening. And it's allowed. You think any attack on us is going to unify? No, it's going to embolden those types. Because while the military and the national intelligence agencies and the national, basically DOD, is focused on warfighting, they're not going to have the time or capability or people to deal with the factionalizations that are going to be accelerated in that circumstance. Because make no mistake, our enemies overseas absolutely have cells here. They absolutely have agents working here. They absolutely are funding and potentially arming people within this country in the event that something like that happens to destabilize this place. See, we're not China. China can just go kill people. If they find anything like that, no trial, no nothing. Even if they suspect you, doesn't matter. They'll just kill them. They know we don't do that. And we can't do that. And we won't do that. So how do you defend against it? Ask yourself that question. We get bogged down thinking about what the other side is doing in this country. We get so focused on what's happening here, we forget. We're still the guy on top of the hill, and we're losing our footing. And the people who are going to be in a position to knock us off are absolutely going to be far worse than anything one of your fellow Americans could do. Remember that. So, I think that's all I'm going to talk about today. I hope it was worthwhile. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I keep saying I'm going to try and post more. I never do, but maybe I should. I'll see what I can do. I'm working like 60 hours a week right now, so it's hard. But anyways, let me know what you think. I'll try and keep things posted. Sorry for being so pessimistic, but this is the reality of the world that we are in right now. And people need to wake up. Have a good day.